All right. Well, let us now come back to Nigeria and talk about the independence anniversary. It is 60 years of Nigerian independence, and of course, a lot of evaluation, critical evaluation, some sort of post-mortem, if you like. Some people want to look at Nigeria at 60 within the context of sports. How far have we come? How well have we performed? And what is there to be done to ensure that we get better? All right. We talked about making it better. We looked at the issues from the perspective of some other sports stakeholders. We saw the former sports minister, Solomon Dalong, do it with us the last time. And today we are having someone who is an expert, someone who is an authority as far as sports is concerned, with bias for athletics. He is a man who was the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria in the late 90s and early 2000s, where Nigeria did so well in some competitions back then. We're talking here of Dr. Dan Ngerem. Dan Ngerem is someone who knows how to talk about sports, how to go about it developmentally. He is a passionate believer in the grassroots as the basis of development in sports. Well, Dr. Dan Ngerem, we can see him now. He's coming, joining us virtually from Lagos. Dr. Dan Ngerem, it's good to have you join us on Sports Extra.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on this auspicious day.
All right, Dr. Dan Ngerem, let us begin by asking you how far it has been so far, because it is the normal question we put out here. Nigerian sports, after 60 years, are we where we honorably should be?
I would say that we've achieved quite a bit. But if you pose the question in another way to say whether we've optimized our God-given talents, of course, all of us know that the answer is no. Because Nigeria has gotten just one individual gold medal since independence in a population of 200 million. That's not good return on investments, considering the fact that we spend a lot of money in sports. So to me, we've underperformed. On a scale of 1 to 10, as things stand today, I'll give Nigeria a 3 or maybe a 4.
Well, Dr. Dan Ngerem, a scorecard for achievement over a period of time would be something that defeats the essence if we do not place a thing in their proper perspectives, and we're looking at how far we have come. Maybe we take it this way. Tell us the achievements, the high points, the things that we did so very well, and then the things that we should have done better, in your opinion.
Like I was saying earlier, Nigeria votes a lot of money for sports, but in the last couple of decades, I've characterized this as voting money for participation. You vote billions of dollars for participation. As soon as those major international competitions like Olympics, the All Africa Games, the Commonwealth Games is over, everybody returns to their bunker until the next round of international competitions. That's no way to optimize what is happening to your sports. There's no development process. There's no conveyor belt of success, as it were. So we just spend money for participation and we don't maximize the funds we deploy. Let me give you a quintessential example with the state of our infrastructure. There is no stadium today that you can call world class in Nigeria. There is no basketball arena you can call world class in Nigeria. In fact, NBA games, which I attended in South Africa, there are 3 now. That is the only place they have proper arena that an NBA can do what they call Africa versus USA. So you can see that we're not doing very well. And all these things devolve to a situation where you don't have a plan, where you don't have a proper framework and your policy direction.
All right, let's come down to specific areas. Let's talk athletics. This is an area where you are an absolute authority to talk about in Nigeria. How can we get back to the days back in in the 90s and the early 2000s, where we had names like Chioma Ajunwa, Falila Tugunkoya, Deji Aliyu. We had them, Mary Onyali, doing us so proud in athletics back in the day. But it is not looking like we have people who can hit that level or who are already at that level, except for endurance. Well, we're talking about Blessing Kabare. How do we get back to that time of our life in athletics where we had the best competitors around the world coming from Nigeria as well?
You see, my problem with our dear country is that we like to talk, we like to articulate things on paper, but to implement them is totally a different ball game. And then often the political will from the highest echelons of leadership is at times punctuated. That is why from the funds deployed, we've had really very, very dismal record, as it were, when you compare the funds deployed to our achievement. Like I said, 200 million people with one individual gold medal in 60 years. That's really, really dismal performance. But one may pose the question, what is responsible for this? Some of us have argued that Nigeria is like a general going to war without a plan in terms of our sports. There's no policy framework. There is no sports policy document that anybody can follow. So each minister that comes starts his own policy. The current minister has just finished his own sports policy committee. The one before him had a sports policy committee chaired by my very good friend Godwin Kienka. You know, so you have a recipe for confusion and policy somersault when you don't have a clear direction. And to really underscore the difficulty in our sports, let's take the current democratic dispensation. We've had practically one minister every year. And some of these ministers, the sports ministry is just a stopgap measure for them to go on to their gubernatorial or senatorial ambitions. So you see, we only vote money to participate in sports. But the solution is very simple. Just create that policy framework that everybody would understand, that would be open, transparent, and accountable. Immediately you see all the stakeholders keen. Immediately you see corporate Nigeria keen. Because corporate Nigeria does not exist to fund your sports. But if you give them something to hold on to, they would resonate with you. So this is our fundamental problem. If we can get a policy direction, give it legal teeth by an act of National Assembly. So every minister that comes in, keys in there, and we have a continuum. But what is happening now is policy confusion, policy somersault, because each minister does what he likes. That's a recipe for disaster for Nigeria. But if we can turn this around very quickly, we can go head to head with any country in the world, be it USA, be it UK, be it Australia. Why? We have the innate and intrinsic talent in Nigeria. The difference between us and some of these nations is simply management, not even money, because we've been deploying substantial resources to sports. That's my take on it.
Well, Dr. Ngerem, let's talk about this. It is always a refrain to say that past administrations, government has not done enough in terms of coming up with a policy thrust that will engender real development in the sector that's talking about sports. But you have to say that it cannot be down to government alone. And we also have it on good authority that the government have been doing well. For instance, the current Minister of Youth and Sports, Sunday Dare, has talked about how to get Nigerian sports on a sound footing in terms of giving it that document. There is a sports document that is one that should drive Nigerian sports to the level that we all know it can get to. You want to talk about that as well, the efforts that is being done by this current sports minister, Sunday Dare, to get Nigerian sports on a sound footing in terms of policy.
You see, this is a fundamental problem with Nigeria I was talking about, where you don't have a plan or a sports policy document. Each minister does what he likes. Like I said earlier, Sunday Dare, the new sports minister, has now instituted his own policy committee. The one before him also had a sports committee. There was a Emeko Mero of blessed memory, one-man sports committee after our dismal performance in the Olympics. Before that, there was a Kazabo committee. Before that, there was a Obemudia committee. I served in one in 2007 called Presidential Advisory Committee on Sports, where we articulated everything that will give Nigerian sports traction, sustainability, corporate key-in, and high net worth individual key-in. What have we done with those? So this is what I characterize as musical chairs, contrived and orchestrated to divert our attention. We're in denial. Let us get a policy document that will guide our sport. So it doesn't matter who is there. It doesn't matter who you pick. The person simply keys in that policy direction. And then we stop these stopgap measures and punctuated pursuits of various policies that are not in cohesion, as it were.
Oh, well, Dr. Ngerem, we want to thank you so very much for your time with us on Sports Extra Thursday. And we are looking forward to having you avail us of your erudite analysis and knowledge on the subject matter of sports and the development that it can bring to the country. All right, a wonderful time it has been having you here, Dr. Ngerem.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. But one final note. As it stands today, I don't think we know where our athletes are, their support structure, or their welfare. Let stakeholders, particularly the Ministry of Sports and those Nigerians that have good intentions for our sports, articulate a document, a post-COVID document as a support structure for our athletes. Let's know where they are, let's bring them together, and let's have a framework to support them.
All right, that was Dr. Dan Ngerem, the former President, Athletics Federation of Nigeria. He talked to us about the achievement of the country in the last 60 years, because we are still in the mood of that celebration, looking ahead to another 60 years, or maybe where will we be? Because it is always always good to look back where you're coming from with a view to knowing where you are and then subsequently where you are going. It's still Sports Extra right here.